picture the scenario for a second, all right?
Okay, I'm listening.
So you are stuck in this horrific, just completely gridlocked traffic jam.
Ugh, the absolute worst way to start a day.
Right. And you're already, you're like 20 minutes late for this crucial meeting.
The stress.
Yeah, the kind of meeting that could basically determine the whole future of your career.
So your blood pressure is already through the roof.
Completely maxed out. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, the driver behind you just completely fails to brake.
Oh, no.
And they slam right into your rear bumper.
Of course they do.
Yeah. Now, under normal circumstances, you'd probably, grip the steering wheel, maybe let out a scream.
Oh, for sure. I'd be furious.
Exactly. You brace yourself for the whole nightmare of insurance claims and repairs. But what if instead of getting angry, you step out of your smashed car, look at that careless driver, and you just smile?
Smile. After getting rear-ended.
A smile of genuine, profound relief. You might even, thank them.
I mean, that sounds completely insane to anyone listening. Why on earth would you do that?
Because according to the framework we're exploring today, that reckless driver didn't just ruin your morning.
Right.
They actually just paid off a massive chunk of your cosmic debt.
Which is just, it sounds so absurd to our modern sensibilities.
It really does.
But that exact reaction is actually the logical endpoint of the philosophy we're looking at today.
Yeah, and that's why we are taking a deep dive into this. We're looking at an essay by Sufeng, which was translated by Kinyu.
Titled, Enemies or Benefactors?
The Path of Repaying Debts, exactly.
And, we spend so much of our time trying to find the root cause of our frustrations, right?
They'll constantly.
Like, we blame our environment, or we blame bad luck.
Or the annoying people around us.
Exactly. We're just constantly trying to control this world that feels incredibly chaotic.
And that craving for an explanation is what makes the source material so fascinating for you guys listening.
It really is.
Because when I first started reading this, I realized it's not just advice on how to be a more patient person.
No, not at all.
It's proposing this total foundational paradigm shift. Like, it takes every single metric we use to measure a quote-unquote good or bad life.
And it just completely shatters it.
Totally turns it upside down.
So to even begin grasping how a car crash could be a reason to celebrate, we have to understand the author's fundamental premise here.
The baseline rule.
Right. The essay posits that the universe is not chaotic in the slightest.
Like, zero chaos.
Zero. There is no such thing as random chance. Instead, reality operates on this perfectly just, incredibly meticulous accounting system.
A cosmic ledger.
Exactly. And the text says this system is governed by the Tao of the greatest creator.
The Tao.
Yeah, and in this specific context, you could really think of the Tao as, like, the underlying source code.
The ultimate operating system of the universe.
That's a great way to put it. It enforces absolute, inescapable balance.
Meaning, every single thing you experience is the direct result of past seeds you've sown.
Every joy, every promotion, every annoyance.
And every profound tragedy.
Yes. The author argues that the universe tracks everything with perfect clarity, down to the last decimal point.
So it's not just what you did yesterday.
No, it includes past lives. If you are born into a specific family, or you're dealing with a specific set of hardships,
It's entirely because of causes and conditions from your past.
you are reaping precisely what you have sown.
I really want to focus on that concept, actually, because the text uses this accounting system to define human existence in a way that is kind of startling.
It's very blunt.
It is. The author states that human life, like the very fact that we are walking around on this earth breathing air,
That we exist at all.
yeah, that it is exclusively a process of repaying karmic debts.
The mechanism is uncompromising. The text bluntly says, if we hadn't incurred debts, we wouldn't be here.
We just wouldn't be in this physical world.
Exactly. The mere fact that you, the listener, exist in a human body is proof that your account is in the red.
That is such a heavy thought.
And as long as those debts remain unpaid, you're bound to this world. You cannot leave.
It's like waking up one day and realizing you've been automatically enrolled in this massive cosmic bankruptcy repayment plan.
That is the perfect analogy.
Because our default assumption as humans is that we're here to build things, right?
To accumulate wealth, happiness, build a family.
Leave a legacy. But the author says, no, you don't start with a clean slate. Your purpose isn't to gain, it's just to get back to zero.
To balance the books.
Right. So the wisest possible way to navigate life is to pay off those debts maximally while making sure you don't accidentally take out any new loans.
Right, you just keep paying down the principal.
Mhm.
Doing good, avoiding wrongdoing.
Okay, so if our whole existence is just this debt repayment plan, I have to ask, has anyone ever actually pulled it off?
Like cleared their account entirely.
Yeah. Who is in the Hall of Fame for this cosmic bankruptcy plan?
Well, the author actually points to several prominent historical and mythological figures as the ultimate examples here.
Okay, who makes the list?
On the historical and religious side, the text highlights Jesus and Buddha Shakyamuni.
Which makes sense, but the way the text frames their legacies is what's really interesting.
Oh, it completely ignores the traditional theological explanations.
Right, it just looks at their actions purely as mathematical debt clearance.
Yes. So, for instance, it says Jesus repaid his debts by shedding his blood, performing countless good deeds, and taking on that massive burden of atoning for his disciples' sins.
So that immense sacrifice was basically a lump sum payment?
A payment that completely cleared his ledger. And similarly, it says Buddha Shakyamuni spent decades tirelessly teaching and enlightening sinners.
Just generating massive amounts of merit.
Right, filling the universe with so much merit that his debts were eradicated. And because they wiped their ledgers clean, they no longer owed the human world anything.
They hit zero balance.
Exactly. That zero balance is the functional reason the text gives for Jesus becoming a god and Shakyamuni becoming a Buddha.
Wow. But the author doesn't just stop at historical figures, right?
No, it pulls from classic mythology, too, to show the extreme lengths required for this repayment.
And this is where it gets kind of terrifying. Like, the essay brings up Nezha from the classic novel Lifechanyuan.
Right. Now, for anyone unfamiliar, Neza is this really powerful mythological figure.
Yeah.
And he owes this immense, basically unpayable debt to his parents, just for giving him his physical body.
Just for being born.
Just for existing. So, to settle the account, the text highlights how Neza literally tore out his own intestines.
Ugh. I mean, it's so visceral.
He carved his flesh from his bones.
It's an incredibly brutal image.
It is. But within the logic of this essay, it makes perfect mathematical sense.
Because the physical body was the loan.
Exactly. The loan provided by the parents. Neza gave those physical components back, which mathematically settled the account.
And because he made that ultimate repayment, his debt was cleared.
Right? He was reincarnated as a lotus flower and became a deity.
Okay, so the essay pairs Neza with another famous figure, right? Sun Wukong, the Monkey King from Journey to the West.
Yes, Wukong owes a life debt to the monk Tang Sanzang.
Because the monk saved him from being imprisoned under a mountain.
Right. So to repay it, Wukong endures 81 grueling trials to protect this monk.
But the author specifically points out the white-bone demon incident.
Which is arguably the most frustrating part of that entire story.
Oh, totally. Because in that incident, Sun Wukong successfully protects the monk from a demon in disguise.
But the monk is completely fooled by the disguise.
Right. He thinks Wukong just murdered an innocent person.
So he unjustly accuses him and banisheth him.
It is this profound injustice. Wukong is 100% innocent.
But the author focuses purely on Wukong's reaction.
Which is what?
Even though Wukong is boiling with anger and completely innocent, he swallows his pride.
Wow.
He kneels to the monk before leaving. Because his personal ego is totally irrelevant.
The ledger is all that matters.
Right. He is striving to repay his debt, no matter how unfair the immediate situation feels.
And the author pulls teachings from all over the map to support this idea, right? Embracing unfairness to clear the ledger.
Oh, absolutely. Like Jesus teaching people to turn the other cheek.
Or Buddha advising that being despised by the world is actually a mechanism that eradicates your previous sins.
Exactly. Laozi teaching that the Tao intentionally makes people suffer in order to save them.
The text even pulls a quote from Mao Zedong,
Right.
stating that the humblest are often the wisest, while the noble are the most foolish.
And we should probably pause here just to make something explicitly clear to you, the listener.
Oh, definitely, yes.
In exploring this text, we are just impartially reporting the contents of the author's essay.
We are just the messengers.
Exactly. So, by mentioning the author's reference to Mao Zedong or any political figure, we are not endorsing any political viewpoints, figures, or ideologies.
Right. We are strictly laying out the diverse sources the author uses to construct this argument about humility and suffering.
Just mapping out the framework provided in the source material.
Okay, but looking at that framework, Nezha carving his bones out, Wukong kneeling to the guy who just framed him.
It's a lot.
I have to push back a bit on behalf of anyone listening right now because I am not a mythological monkey king.
Right.
I am just a regular person trying to get through the work week.
Understandable.
Does the author expect me to literally carve my bones out to pay my debts? Like, what is the actual practical daily application here?
Well, the author actually anticipates that exact concern.
Okay, good.
The text categorizes our everyday debts to show how this works practically. It divides them into what we think of as macro debts.
Which I assume are the big ones.
Yeah, and they're surprisingly broad and easy to manage. And then there are the micro debts.
The daily interactions.
Right, and those require absolute brutal precision.
Well, the macro debts almost sound too easy when you read them.
They do.
Like, the text says we owe a debt to nature because we constantly absorb the essence of the sun and moon, and we enjoy the environment.
So how do you repay the sun?
The author says you literally just have to be grateful and avoid spoiling nature.
And that same logic applies to society.
Right.
The text argues that because we live in a society and are protected by its laws, we owe a debt to it.
Okay, and how do we repay that one?
The method of repayment the author prescribes is to simply avoid opposing the government.
And again, applying our impartial stance here, we really want to remind you, listening, that this directive to avoid opposing the government is strictly the author's philosophical framework for societal debt.
Yes, not our own political advice whatsoever.
Just the rules of the essay.
Exactly. And the text continues this pattern for our ultimate origins. We owe a debt to the greatest creator for the overarching platform of life.
Which we repay by simply following the Tao.
Right. We owe our parents for our physical forms, which we repay by dutifully honoring them.
And if you happen to have a spiritual master who enlightened you, the text states that just saying thank you is enough to settle that debt. Wait, I can settle my debt to the entire universe and my spiritual master with just a heartfelt thank you and some basic respect.
Yep.
Why is this cosmic ledger suddenly so lenient? I thought it was strict.
Well, because those entities provide overarching platforms of existence.
Yeah.
They are macro-level forces.
So because the debt is broad, the repayment is broad.
Exactly. But the text makes a really dramatic shift right after this.
Oh boy.
It warns that beyond these great macro obligations, all other daily debts must be repaid precisely.
So a simple thank you is no longer going to cut it.
Not at all. This is where we get into the micro debts.
The nitty-gritty.
Yes. The accounting for the people you interact with daily becomes incredibly strict. The text uses this phrase, one nail for one rivet.
Meaning exact equivalence.
Exactly. If you owe a specific amount of suffering to someone, you must pay exactly that amount back.
And the most intense arena for this exact accounting is marriage.
Oh, without a doubt.
The text quotes this old proverb. Husband and wife are like birds in the same forest, but they fly apart when disaster strikes.
Cheerful.
Right. It advises us to endure our partner's daily frustrations and just give them as much freedom as possible so we don't end up owing them karma when the relationship inevitably ends.
But then this is where the author introduces a concept that just completely breaks the brain.
The infidelity part.
Yes.
Yeah.
The text refers to the green hat, which is a Chinese idiom for being cuckolded.
Right. And the author explicitly says that if your spouse is unfaithful to you, if you get a green hat, you shouldn't hold grudges.
You shouldn't seek retribution.
Instead, you are supposed to feel joyful.
Joyful.
Okay, let's just unpack this for a second. Imagine coming home, finding out your partner of over a decade has completely betrayed your trust.
Devastating.
And your reaction is supposed to be celebration.
I mean, from a purely psychological standpoint, it sounds impossible.
Totally impossible.
But if we follow the strict math of this cosmic ledger, it is actually the only correct response.
How?
Because an act of infidelity is a massive karmic transaction. When your spouse betrays you, any debt you owe them is instantly canceled.
The slate is completely wiped clean.
Yes. So the joy the author is prescribing here, it doesn't come from the betrayal itself.
Right. You're not happy they cheated.
No, it comes from the sudden realization that you have just been liberated from a really heavy karmic burden.
You are free to walk your own path without owing them anything anymore.
Exactly.
It is just a staggering emotional reframing. It requires you to take one of the most painful interpersonal betrayals a human can experience.
And view it exclusively as a triumphant financial settlement.
Wow. And it demands that exact same emotional detachment when it comes to your own kids.
Oh, the section on children is intense.
The text defines children not as innocent bundles of joy, but as natural creditors.
Yes. They are born into your family for the specific purpose of collecting the debts you owe them from past interactions.
They are literal debt collectors who live in your house.
That is exactly how the framework views them. And the instructions are very clear. You must repay these child creditors with no complaints.
You give them everything without expecting a single drop of gratitude in return.
Right. The author explicitly says you should never expect filial piety. In fact, if your children do not honor you,
If they are completely unfilial and abandon you.
that is the best case scenario.
See, I really struggled with this part. The author is saying that if my kid abandons me in my old age, I'm supposed to see that as a success.
Yes, because if your child cares for you and is kind to you in your old age, they are essentially giving you a new loan.
Oh, I see.
They are incurring debt toward you, or you are incurring debt toward them, which just messes up the ledger all over again.
And it ties you both back to the cycle of reincarnation.
Exactly. The less filial they are, the more thoroughly your debt to them is paid off.
And the author takes this to its absolute bleakest extreme.
It really does.
It says even if you end up starving to death in your old age, dying of illness completely alone or without anyone to even bury your body because your kids abandon you.
You must accept it without a single ounce of resentment.
The text actually provides a motto for this. The humbler our death, the more honorable our life.
It systematically strips away every single societal expectation we have of family harmony, legacy, comfort.
And replaces them entirely with the cold mechanics of debt clearance.
Yes. And this strict accounting extends to siblings, friends, even passing strangers. The golden rule is simple. Do not take advantage of anyone.
There is a great folksy quote in the essay to illustrate this. Taking advantage of others is harmful, just like radishes are just vegetables.
I love that quote. There is no magical loophole.
There's no free lunch.
None. And the text gets incredibly dark regarding survival, actually.
Yeah, it argues that it's far preferable to die early and debt-free than to live a long life by continually taking from others and carrying karmic debts.
The author advises that if you reach a point where you simply cannot go on without taking advantage of someone else, you shouldn't fight to survive.
Just give up.
You should simply sit cross-legged, quietly await the arrival of death, and welcome the celestial beings.
It is a philosophy of absolute surrender to the ledger.
Total surrender.
This relentless accounting even applies to what we eat, right?
Yes. The text points out that we benefit immensely from animals. They give us food, clothing, labor.
And a debt is a debt no matter the species.
Exactly. Seekers of the Tao must regard all life equally, so these animal debts have to be settled. You do this by not mistreating them and showing them compassion.
But practically speaking, humans eat animals.
Right. And when you do consume their flesh, the text instructs you to silently pray for them, wishing them a swift rebirth in the Western Pure Land.
We should probably clarify what that is for context for the listener.
Good idea. The Western Pure Land is a spiritual realm in Buddhist tradition. It's a place completely free from the suffering of the cycle of rebirth.
So by sincerely praying for the animal's ultimate spiritual liberation.
You are settling the microtransaction of consuming its physical body.
Honestly, it's exhausting just thinking about living this way.
It's a full-time job.
The joyful acceptance of a cheating spouse, the expectation of being abandoned by your kids, sitting cross-legged waiting for death rather than taking a loan.
Intense.
All of this agonizing math naturally leads to the climax of the essay, the absolute paradox of the title itself.
Enemies or benefactors.
Which, if you've been following the cold logic of the ledger, this terrifying concept actually makes perfect sense.
It really does. Because if the ultimate goal of your life is to suffer so that your debts are paid off,
then the people who make you suffer the most are doing you the biggest favor in the world.
this completely upends how we view victimization. The text states clearly that if someone bullies you, oppresses you, abuses you, or torments you,
They are actively taking on wrongdoing.
exactly, they are purposefully or ignorantly incurring massive debt themselves, specifically to help you repay yours.
Think about it like this, listeners. Imagine you are drowning in a fast-moving river, right?
Okay.
And you have this incredibly heavy backpack strapped to your shoulders, pulling you under.
A terrible situation.
Then someone comes along, sees you struggling, and decides to steal your backpack.
They think they are robbing you.
They think they're doing something evil. But by stealing that heavy anvil off your shoulders, they actually allow you to float to the surface and breathe.
They saved your life by trying to harm you.
Exactly.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanics of this text. The person causing you harm is eagerly accumulating the heavy stones of karmic debt for themselves.
while you are simultaneously being liberated from them.
Right. And this is the mechanism behind why the author insists you must welcome abuse joyfully,
You have to gratefully accept their actions.
because they're doing the heavy lifting for your salvation.
It just completely flips the script on reality. The text says benefactors are enemies and enemies are benefactors. The people who are nice to you, the people who help you out of your traditional benefactors, they actually tie you down to the mortal world.
Because now you owe them a debt.
Exactly. But your enemies, the people who constantly torment you, they are the ones who help you break free by actively clearing your ledger.
And, to the outside world, a person seeking the Tao in this manner looks incredibly foolish.
Oh, they look crazy.
They let themselves be abused. They don't fight back when cheated. They smile when betrayed.
But the author concludes that the more foolish, evil people there are in the world,
People willing to incur debt by harming others.
right, the more opportunities there are for a seeker to use their actions to become a celestial being.
Good becomes evil, and evil becomes good.
Which really brings us to the ultimate takeaway for you, the listener.
The big conclusion.
The text closes with this really powerful, sweeping sentiment. Repay debts in all aspects of life, and you will gain the Tao in all aspects. Abandon everything completely, and you will gain everything completely.
So the seekers of the Tao aren't fools at all.
Not at all.
They actually have the clearest, most astute minds in the room.
Because they are the only ones looking at the true cosmic ledger instead of just, the temporary human drama.
It requires an incredible mental shift. But if you actually apply it, it removes the victim mentality entirely.
Completely gone.
It takes the things that cause us the most profound psychological anguish, being wronged, being betrayed, being abused.
And transforms them from these senseless tragedies into triumphant steps toward ultimate freedom.
Every single hardship becomes a transaction that favors you.
It offers an almost impenetrable armor against the frustrations of being alive.
It really does.
The next time someone cuts you off in traffic or, I don't know, takes credit for your work, you don't have to let it ruin your day.
You just mentally cross a line off your debt ledger.
Look at them and quietly think, thanks for taking the hit for me.
It is a radical way to find peace in a hostile world.
It truly is. But, as perfectly balanced as this intricate system of cosmic accounting seems, grappling with it actually leaves me with one final, deeply unsettling thought. Just something for all of us to mull over long after we sign off today.
Oh, what's that?
Well, the author tells us to celebrate when our debts are cleared by an enemy's abuse, right?
Right, we welcome it joyfully.
Because they are taking on wrongdoing to save us. But if our highest ultimate goal is to not incur any new debts,
Okay.
what happens if our joyful, passive acceptance of an enemy's abuse inadvertently encourages them to keep doing it to others?
Oh, wow.
Like if we just smile and let them eagerly steal our heavy backpack, aren't we kind of making them drown?
Because they're just loading themselves up with debt.
Exactly. In our solitary, desperate quest for cosmic liberation, by happily letting our enemies take on that massive karmic burden.
Are we secretly complicit in their spiritual downfall?
Exactly. Are we responsible?
I mean, if the ledger is a closed mathematical system, your liberation inherently requires their damnation.
That is a very heavy cost for a zero balance.
Something to really think about the next time you encounter an enemy.
Definitely. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the cosmic ledger. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.